Folks often ask me how I figured out my wife was stepping out on me, and I usually chuckle and say my dog spilled the beans, but hold on, let's not jump the gun. I'd been hitched to Karen for 4 solid years when I stumbled onto her infidelity. I'm the guy running a cozy, family-owned hotel down on Florida's Space Coast, a place I started working at back in high school. 12 years down the line, I'm the one calling the shots there, and I gotta say, I love every minute of it. My big dream? Owning a hotel just like this one someday. I crossed paths with Karen when I was grinding through junior college, studying up on hotel management. She was knee-deep in secretarial science classes. We hit it off, dated for a year, and then tied the knot. She landed a gig at an engineering firm that makes gear for the International Space Station. We settled into a house, figuring we'd hold off on kids for a bit. Our place came with a huge backyard, and I was itching to get a dog. Karen was cool with dogs, so she didn't put up a fight, but she made it crystal clear it'd be my dog. She'd play with it, sure, but I was on the hook for all the care. I spread the word at work that I was on the hunt for a pup, and one of my staff piped up, saying he had just the dog for me. His mini schnauzer had a litter, and he was selling the puppies, raving about how perfect the breed was for me. I figured I'd check it out, so one day, after the pups were weaned, I swung by his place. Out in his backyard, his wife was playing with 5 8-week-old furballs, all tumbling over each other, barely noticing me. But then, this one tiny black puppy locked eyes with me, ditched his siblings, and waddled right over. He whimpered until I scooped him up. I played with him a bit, set him down, and he wasn't having it, cried until I picked him up again. "Well, looks like he's claimed you," my buddy's wife said with a grin. That was that. I paid for the little guy and brought him home. That evening, I was all in, playing with him, and I tried setting up a bed for him out on the patio. Big mistake. He wailed and howled until I caved and let him inside. For a few months, he slept on one of my old shirts right by the bed. Once he was big enough to hop up, he started curling up at my feet on the bed. Karen, meanwhile, was climbing the ladder at her job. She got bumped up to executive assistant for the company's CEO, a guy named Richard Thompson. He's not just the big boss but also an engineer and head of the design team, about 50, married, with 3 kids, 7, 10, and 12. He tied the knot late, marrying the daughter of the company's founder, who's passed on now. His wife owns the whole operation. The company's been raking in millions working with NASA, building tools and gadgets for space, and now they're knee-deep in some moon project. Karen couldn't stop gushing about it. "Richard's a genius, gonna go down in history like Einstein." Yeah, I wasn't buying it. Richard's a University of Florida grad, huge Gators football fan. I saw his office once at a company Christmas party. Place was decked out like a UF fan shop, wall-to-wall team gear. Now, about how I caught Karen cheating. I got home from work one day and went looking for Rocky, that's my dog, named after the space station commander from Deep Space Nine. Rocky loves goofing around in the backyard, and I'd put in a doggy door so he could roam in and out as he pleased. That day, he trotted up to me with something in his mouth. When I pried it out, my gut sank. I had a bad feeling Karen was messing around with her boss, and in our house, no less. What Rocky dropped at my feet? A pair of blue University of Florida boxer shorts, covered in little orange alligators. I'm crazy about Karen, but I ain't gonna stand for her sneaking around behind my back. Still, what if there's some reasonable explanation, or maybe she's got a slick story cooked up about how Richard's boxers ended up with Rocky? I needed to be dead sure before I did something I'd regret. At the hotel, we've got cameras all over the place, lobby, hallways, beach area, parking lot, to keep guests safe and cover our butts legally. I've got an IT guy I contract for that stuff, so the next morning, I gave him a call. After making him swear to keep it hush-hush, I laid out what was going on. I figured Karen, knowing I'm in the hotel game and pals with folks in a 75-mile radius, wouldn't risk a motel where someone might tip me off. That's why they were using my house for their little rendezvous. My IT buddy said he could set up cameras so sneaky nobody'd ever spot M. I took a day off and watched him wire up my house like a reality show set, cameras in every room, even the bathrooms, plus the front door and patio. I could check the feeds on my phone anytime, and everything got backed up to the cloud. The next day, I peeked at the footage and saw Rocky chasing birds out back before crashing on my bed for a nap. Karen got home just before I left the hotel, swapped her work clothes, and started whipping up dinner, just another regular afternoon. But the day after that, I was tied up helping some tourists in the lobby and then sprucing up a flower bed out front. At lunch, I pulled up my phone, expecting to see Rocky snoozing on my bed. Nope. My stomach turned, Karen was buck naked on all fours, and there was Richard, stark naked too, standing by the bed. His saggy gut and creaky 50-year-old back made me wonder what my 24-year-old wife saw in this guy. His face was red as a tomato, looking like he was one step from keeling over. She flipped him onto the bed and laid a sloppy kiss on him, tongue and all. "Maybe you oughta see a doc about those little blue pills," she teased. "Yeah, I'll look into it. Evans in accounting swears by M, buys M online," he huffed. "Why don't you hop in the shower first?" "I'll hang out here," she said. He shuffled off to the bathroom while she sprawled out on the bed. Richard came out dressed and split. Karen used the toilet, took a shower, and swapped out the bed sheets before heading out. Rocky wandered in, sniffed around, and then flopped down for his nap. I dug into the cloud footage, rewinding to when they pulled up in separate cars. They headed straight to the bedroom and shut the door. "You ever find my boxers?" "I'm sure that dog snatched M," Richard asked. "Nah, but don't sweat it. If Rocky took M, he probably buried M out back. He's always digging holes," Karen said. "No big deal, I've got plenty more," he replied. "You sure your husband doesn't have a clue about us?" he pressed. "Pfft, no way. That guy's oblivious. All he cares about is that dinky little hotel. He ain't got a hint," she sneered. "What about your wife?" Karen asked. "Same deal. She's cold as ice, just yammers about the kids from the second I walk until we hit the sack. We don't even touch anymore, barely get a peck goodnight. That's why this thing we've got is so perfect, nobody knows, nobody gets hurt," he said. They started peeling off their clothes, and she climbed onto the bed. I replayed the footage, my mind racing about what to do next. Karen clearly ain't in love with this guy. It's not his looks, and he's not exactly rocking her world, so what's her deal? I kept watching for 2 more weeks, getting my ducks in a row for my big exit plan. Turns out, their hookups are a Monday and Thursday thing. Why those days? Beats me, and honestly, I don't give a damn. The next week, I caught Richard ducking into the bathroom before they got started, popping one of those blue pills. It didn't seem to help much, he got the job done, but it was nothing to write home about before he tapped out. I noticed Karen was extra frisky on Monday and Thursday nights with me, probably 'cause old Richard was still striking out, even with his little helpers. I wasn't complaining, just biding my time. After 2 weeks of footage piled up, I was ready to pull the trigger on my plan. I took Thursday off and parked just around the corner from my house, waiting. Like clockwork, they rolled up. When I saw Richard swallow his blue pill and start stripping, I pulled into my driveway. I strolled into the bedroom just as Karen was on all fours. "Hey, why don't you two pause the show and meet me in the living room? We gotta have a chat." Karen let out a yelp and scrambled to cover up, probably thinking I was snapping pics. She'd figure out soon enough it was way past that point. Richard just turned away, not saying a peep. I gave M about 5 minutes to throw on some clothes and shuffle into the living room. I could hear M whispering, but I couldn't make out the words. When they finally showed up, I was parked in the armchair, leaving them to plop down on the couch together, staring at the TV. I grabbed the remote and hit play. Up popped a highlight reel of their last 3 weeks, all caught on my cameras, playing on our 75-inch flat screen. I'd spent some time editing it, and I gotta say, it looked sharp, every grunt and moan crystal clear. About 2 minutes in, Karen begged me to turn it off. I hit stop, popped the disc out, and handed it to Richard. "This one's for you, buddy. Karen, your copy's on the dining room table. I've got the master, and I swear, there ain't no other copies." Then I leaned in. "Richard, I'm open to selling you the original if you're interested." "How much?" he mumbled, barely looking at me. $500,000, I shot back. "That's insane," he scoffed. "Nah, it's a bargain. If your wife got her hands on this, she'd drag you through divorce court." "Alimony?" "Probably 25 or 30 grand a month. Child support for 3 kids. Another 10 grand, easy. You're loaded, Richard. The courts would dig into your last 3 years' pay and might even stick you for more. Oh, and your wife owns the company, right? You could be out on your ass. $500,000's a steal for dodging that mess." Karen piped up, worried about him, not our marriage. "Where's he supposed to get that kind of cash?" I smirked. "Richard's got plenty stashed away, don't you? Those NASA contracts. 10 grand hammers for the space station that cost $10 at Home Depot." He didn't bite, just asked, "When do you need the money?" Guess he wasn't in the mood to talk hammers either. "Wire it to this account within 48 hours, I said, sliding him the instructions. "Call it consulting fees for the moon project." I chuckled. "Can I trust you'll hand over the original and there's no other copies?" he asked, eyes narrow. "You'll have to take my word, but once I get the cash, you and Karen won't see me again." Karen screamed, "Chris, let me explain." Richard cut in, "I'm heading back to the office. I'll tell Em you're sick." Then he looked at me. "I'm trusting you to keep your promise." "I will," I said. No handshake, he just turned and left. I couldn't help but notice that blue pill was still doing its thing. "Chris, please, hear me out," Karen pleaded. "There's no love between me and Richard. He's a brilliant guy, a visionary inventor. History's gonna put him up there with the greats. I just wanted to be part of that, you know, like a king's mistress in some royal court. That's it." I shot back, "You better pray Richard sends that money. If he doesn't, the queen's gonna hear about her king's side piece. And when that happens, the mistress usually ends up losing her head." I whistled for Rocky, and we headed out to the hotel. I'd already stashed my bags in a room I'd reserved for us. Our place is pet-friendly, after all. I hung tight until Richard's wire transfer came through. One evening, I sent my IT buddy back to the house to yank out all the cameras. Karen acted all shocked, like she and Richard, these supposed brainiacs, hadn't figured out where the footage came from. My pal who sold me Rocky offered to watch him for a week, so I jetted off to a South American country most folks back home are too scared to visit. Down a rough road, I found a 30-room hotel exactly as it was listed online. The owner had passed, and his elderly widow was looking to sell for what came out to about $300,000. It felt like a steal for a place like that, so I paid her asking price without haggling. It was everything I'd ever dreamed of owning. I flew back to the States, and within 2 weeks, Rocky and I were settled into our new home at the beachfront hotel. I started advertising in Europe, and in just a month, bookings started rolling in. 2 months later, we were greeting our first guests. Rocky and I were loving life there, early morning strolls on the beach, splashing around in the hotel pool in the afternoons, and even picking up a bit of Spanish along the way. One morning, while Rocky was keeping an eye on me cleaning the pool, my radio crackled with an urgent call to head to the front desk. We hustled over to the lobby, and there was Karen, standing with a suitcase and a carry-on. "Bet you didn't expect to see me," she said with a half-smile. "Leave your bags there and come with me," I replied, keeping it short. I led her to the restaurant, empty now that breakfast was done and the guests were out enjoying the beach. I signaled my cook to bring us both a coffee and turned to Karen. "What? No, good to see you, or, how's it going?" "Not even a hello?" she asked, sounding a bit hurt. "What are you doing here, Karen?" I shot back. "Chris, you know I never stopped loving you, even after I divorced you for ditching me. That was Richard's idea, by the way." "I still love you," she said. "Speaking of Richard, how's that going? You two still shooting for the moon?" I asked, leaning back. "Richard's gone, Chris." "He's dead," she replied, her voice flat. "What happened? Did his wife catch you too and take him out?" "I swear I kept my word. If she found out, it wasn't from me," I said. "No, we were at the house. He took too many of those blue pills and had a heart attack. The doc said his heart was too weak for that stuff anyway. I had to call 911, and, well, his wife found out, fired me, and then sold the company. I'm working as a secretary for an insurance company now. Had to sell the house since my pay's a fraction of what I made with Richard. This is my first vacation, and I figured I'd come see if maybe you and I could, give it another shot. What do you think? Can we try again?" Just then, Sabine walked into the restaurant. Now, let me paint the picture for you, 'cause Karen's eyes were glued to her. Sabine's from Germany, about 5 feet 8 inches, with blonde hair and piercing blue eyes. She's rocking a sheer beach cover-up over the bottoms of a black bikini, no top. She and her friend Monica, who looks like her twin, have been staying at the hotel for the last 5 months. Sabine's always griping about the chilly winters in Berlin. Some folks might call her a Nepo baby, living off a trust fund, but I just call her my pampered rich girlfriend. Yeah, her and Monica both crash with me, but let's be real, I ain't kidding myself about me and Sabine. One day, probably soon, she'll get bored of the sun, the sand, or maybe even me. She and Monica will pack their bags and jet off, and that'll be the last I see of M. Same thing happened with the Swedish gal before them and the French divorcee before her. It's just how it goes. Sabine spotted me and said, "There you are. Monica and I've been looking everywhere. We're pumped for that snorkeling trip to the reef you promised." I glanced at Karen. "We're booked solid this week, but swing by the front desk, they'll hook you up with a room at another hotel in town. Miguel can drive you. Take care, Karen." I got up, and Sabine slid into my arms, planting a kiss on my lips. "Who's that old lady?" she asked, tilting her head. "Just someone looking for a free ride," I said with a shrug. "Free ride? What's that mean?" she asked, confused. "Don't worry about it," I replied. Monica met us in the lobby with Rocky, and we headed to the beach. I scooped up Rocky and carried him through the waves to the boat. He loves the ride. That was the last I ever saw of Karen, and that's the end of my story for now. If you got a kick out of hearing this, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up or drop a comment. It really helps get my tales out there. If you're just stumbling across this, hit that subscribe button, it keeps me going with more stories like this one. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll catch you in the next one.